Cowboys Nation. The road to the Super Bowl starts right here, and it starts right now.
I got cleared so early, so, I'm just grateful for the opportunity, to get back out there and get better.
The thing about these receivers, you get on the radar because you run routes and you catch the ball. But what are you doing on special teams?
One comes along that lifts the whole damn Dallas Cowboys.
It's time for another edition of Special Edition inside the Academy Sports and Outdoor Studios here at the Star in Frisco, Texas. Bill Jones along with Nate Newton and Rick Gosselin. And yes, after 3 weeks of training camp in Oxnard, California, a little side trip to Hawaii last week, we've had a week full of workouts here at Ford Center at the Star in Frisco, and it's great to be back with you guys.
Hey, great to have you back, Bill. I still got Goose hanging around.
That's right.
Oh, we've missed you. We've missed you.
Well, I know you've made a little side trip to Canton, Ohio in the meantime over the course of the last couple of weeks, but the Cowboys back home taking on the Houston Texans in the preseason home opener. Then they'll close out the preseason on Thursday night at AT&T Stadium against Tampa Bay. Let's get into the big news of this week, though, as Jaylon Smith signed his contract on Tuesday. A lot of people talking about when's Amari going to sign? When's Dak going to sign? What about Zeke? Well, it's Jaylon who's first up.
Yeah, what I find interesting is back when the Cowboys won the Super Bowls, Jimmy put no premium on linebackers. There was no second contracts. Ken Norton, Robert Jones, Dixon Harris, Vince Smith, they were all free to go. Now, Sean Lee, Leighton Vander Esch, Jaylon Smith, this is like a flashback to the Landry Cowboys of Howley and Jordan.
What I like about this is where this kid started at. Jaylon Smith, a horrible accident with his knee, tore up ligaments, lost his nerves, fought back, stayed positive. Hey, he gets to retire his mom a year early now.
And Jerry Jones got emotional talking about
Jaylon
Smith. Made a point to get back here on Tuesday for the press conference. Let's listen in to some of what happened on Tuesday.
For me, it's about being a Dallas Cowboy for life, understanding the brand equity that it holds and aligning it with my brand. And being able to take advantage of each and every opportunity. Me being a businessman, living in Dallas, Texas, getting access to quality deal flow is something. It's something that I vouch for.
Now that Jaylon's got a slice of the pie, does it affect how big of a pie Amari, Dak, and Zeke can get?
There is less pie left. Make no bones about it.
I wanted to clarify.
There is less pie.
Jerry says there's less pie left for Dak and Zeke and Amari. How do you think this affects those negotiations?
Oh, without question. I think if you want to sustain an extended dynasty type thing, people have to take less. Tom Brady took less. And look at how long the Patriots have maintained the star players have to take less so you can keep the second-tier players so you don't lose a Ken Norton, a Dixon Edwards, a John Geeskin, a Kevin Gogan.
That sounds logical, but I think these three guys are going to hold out for all they can. And that's just the way the world works now. I mean, that team thing sounds great, but a lot of individuals along with their agents don't buy into it.
Coming up later on Special Edition, we'll hear from Stephen Jones talking about the Jaylon signing and much more. When we come back, whose stock is up and whose stock is going down through the first couple of preseason games? How about that Devin Smith?
Special Edition, presented by AT&T, is brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Salvation Army, doing the most good. And by AT&T. More for your thing, that's our thing. This segment is brought to you by the Texas Lottery. The Texas Lottery proudly supports Texas education and veterans. Play the Texas Lottery today.
One for the end zone, Devin Smith. Touchdown, Cowboys. Tony Pollard all the way into the end zone.
A nice run inside by Tony Pollard.
I'd say the rookie Tony Pollard's stock is up as we welcome you back here to Special Edition inside the Academy Sports and Outdoor Studios. It is the Cowboys Stock Exchange here. Whose stock is up? Whose stock is down? We've got Nate on one side. We've got Goose on the other side. Stock up. Who do you say, Nate?
Malik Collins. From day one, I wondered about this kid. He's never been fully healthy during the whole season. He started this training camp healthy. His pass rushes I've seen on film has been great. He had a nice game, the last one. Hey, this kid is coming, man. And plus, it's a contract year.
Just get him to the regular season healthy. Goose, whose stock is up?
Devin Smith, wide receiver. Here's a guy, if you just look at the talent in this core, this guy was a big-time producer at Ohio State. He was a second-round pick in 2015 by the Jets. He hasn't been able to stay healthy. He's missed the last 2 years. This may be his last chance, and he's taken advantage of it. He leads his team in receptions this preseason. He scored a touchdown. But can he make a tackle on special teams? That's what I want to see.
Yeah. And you'll need that out of a receiver who'd be 4th or 5th on the depth chart. All right, whose stock is down after last week in Hawaii? Nate?
It was Hawaii, and it was the week before. Mike White, it's your last shot if you get a shot at all. The kid don't get enough reps. That's the main thing. He needs more reps. He's more of a practice squad guy that you may look for in a year or two, but right now, stock is down.
And that's the thing is the third-team quarterback does not get very many reps in training camp in Oxnard. All right, whose stock is down, Rick?
Any running back not named Tony Pollard. This is a running team. They need guys who can carry the ball, gain yards. Pollard's the only one that's done it consistently. And when the season starts, hopefully Elliott's back, Morris is there, Pollard's there. The backups aren't going to get a whole lot of work, so I need to see some tackles from the backup running backs too. Find something you can do on special teams.
It's going to be interesting to see because we're remaining hopeful. Zeke is going to be back for that regular season opener against the New York Giants. It's going to be interesting to see who that third running back is, and special teams could be a factor on that. We got much more special edition coming up. In fact, Stephen Jones joins us next. We get his next. He gives us his take as we approach the regular season in just 2 weeks.
This segment was brought to you by the Texas Lottery. The Texas Lottery proudly supports Texas education and veterans. Play the Texas Lottery today. This segment is brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas.
Cowboys Special Edition continues here at the Star in Frisco as the Cowboys take on the Houston Texans in the preseason opener. Big news there at the Star this week. Of course, the signing of middle linebacker Jaylon Smith. Nick Eatman standing by with Stephen Jones with his take on that and much more.
Thanks so much, Bill. And we are joined here by Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer. Thank you so much for stopping by here back in Texas. And, you know, Stephen, we've talked so much about contracts, guys that sign and not signing, and all of a sudden you get a big one. And it wasn't one of the three that we talked about, but still, I know you're so happy to get Jaylon Smith locked up.
Well, that's how things work. As we said, contracts is a little bit like personnel. You kind of live with them. And with this day and time of the salary cap, you know, you look for situations that make sense. And obviously this situation presented itself with Jaylon. He was ready to go, and we were able to work something out. And as I've said, it's very possible, and you can do these things where the player's happy and it's a good situation for the team. And certainly that's our goal with Dak, with Zeke, with Amari, is to get those things done. And we're so optimistic about it. We, you know, very optimistic that we can get these things done and in a timely fashion too. So we'll just keep working at it and look for those opportunities and, you know, keep working.
Definitely. You know, I'm getting a chance to talk to Jaylon after the deal, and he kind of said, you know, it's like a big family at Thanksgiving dinner. You know, when they say it's time to eat, you better get in line quick, because if you stay at the end, you never know what's going to be there.
He left.
And you guys made that reference about there's less pie available. You still are confident that, you know, you have this thing structured. These guys, the Dak, the Zeke's, Amaris, you can get all these done and still make them happy.
Well, a lot of work goes into the financial modeling of our salary cap. We've got great people around here, whether it's an Adam Pacifica or Todd Williams, Will McClay. We're constantly working on a financial model for this football team, and the young players that we have coming up, a lot of work, and you got to be fortunate too in terms of drafting well year in and year out. Hats off to Will McClay and our scouting staff, Jason and his coaching staff, and how we've come to consensus to draft really well year in and year out. And you just don't want to see those players then walk out of here. And they're great players on the field. They're better people off the field. And it's just important to us that we come up with a model that keeps as many of these guys together as we can.
All right, well, we've been talking a little bit about off the field. We're going to stay with us here. We're going to talk a little bit about on the field as we get to the backside of this preseason. So stay with us.
All right, thanks, Nick and Stephen. And up next here on Special Edition, what is Stephen Jones looking for as the Cowboys take on the Texans at AT&T Stadium this weekend?
This segment was brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. This segment is brought to you by AT&T. More for your thing, that's our thing.
It's the dress rehearsal game at AT&T Stadium, the Dallas Cowboys and the Houston Texans, and now more with Cowboys Chief Operating Officer Stephen Jones standing by with Nick Eatman.
Thanks again, guys. We're joined once again by Stephen Jones. We talked a lot about contracts before, guys that you hope to get on the field, but you do have a lot of players that you're looking at here for these last two preseason games. There's a bubble out there, roster bubble. Tell me some guys that you're really going to be looking at and intrigued to see how they perform when you get home here.
Well, as you well know, there's probably 45 guys that have made this team, and there's another 6 to 8 of them. Or really 6 to 10 to 12 of them that are fighting for their lives to be on this team. And this is my favorite time of year. You play this third preseason game, you play this fourth preseason game, and these guys understand now that they're either on the team or they're on the bubble or they're on the outside looking in. And I've seen a lot of guys go from you thinking, hey, they're on the cut list to working their way back into the bubble, and guys who obviously, secure spots. But, you start to look at all of our young players that we drafted late in this draft, whether it's a Donovan Wilson, whether it's a Mike Jackson, whether it's a Jalen Jelks, whether it's a Joe Jackson, all these young guys that we drafted later, guys that, you love to keep draft picks. There's no question because you did a lot of work on them and you felt good about picking them. But, it's going to be real interesting to see how these guys compete. The receiver position, certainly Ced Wilson and Devin Smith have made a big jump. Obviously, you got some young guys there at the end who are going to try to get everybody's attention down the stretch. So it's a great group, and we look forward to seeing how these guys work through their situations.
All right, without naming any names, I'll put you on the spot here. As a talent evaluator, if you've got a guy that's done great in practice, hasn't shown up much in the game, versus the guy that's messed up a few things in practice, but when the lights come on, he's made some plays. Are they equal, or do you lean towards the guy that's doing it during the games?
It's really the full body of work, Nick. It's hard to say you're going to value one over the other. I will say this, making plays that get your attention is important. And when you see 2, 3, 4, all of a sudden you look up, you got one player making plays on the ball, or 2 or 3 or 4 wow plays, then that sticks with you versus, steadiness, is good too. But making those wow plays certainly helps. So, at the end of the day, we'll look at it. Certainly, everybody will have some influence on this, whether it's the trainers and their health, whether it's how they're doing in meeting rooms, whether it's how they're perceived by our trainers. All these things go into the full body of work, and betting on guys. When you're at the back end of this roster, you're probably, you're looking at guys who may not be active. They're really practice squad guys who made the roster, and hopefully you don't have to use them. But it'll be an interesting next 2 weeks in terms of how we proceed with our roster.
And when you try to make those decisions, you've got to factor in injuries as well. Are you okay with where things stand with the DeMarcus Lawrence, Byron Jones, maybe even Zach Martin, players like that have been held out? Mari Cooper, I'll throw him in as well. You confident all these guys will be ready for week 1?
Yeah, Britt Brown's doing an amazing job. I think we get better at it every year. I think we may be the only team who has 2 head trainers. One, Britt Brown, obviously in charge of the rehab, and then Jim, our head trainer. But, you know, they do a great job of managing these guys, and our coaches have done a great job of being patient. Obviously, they'd like to get them all out there on the field, and as Bill Parcells used to call it, the catch net, in terms of when the trainers grab them and won't let them practice. We had a lot of fun with that. But, you know, at this point, we feel really good that most, if not every last player is going to be ready for the Giants, which was our goal when we started this thing.
All right, well, we appreciate it, and we also hope that Ezekiel Elliott is included in there as well. I know you're working really hard at that. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Absolutely.
All right, back to you, Bill.
Thanks a lot, Nick and Steven. Still time left here on Special Edition for 4 Downs with Nate and Goose when we come back.
This segment was brought to you by AT&T. More for your thing, that's our thing. Special Edition, presented by AT&T, was brought to you by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Ford is the best in Texas. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. AT&T, more for your thing, that's our thing. And by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full access to coaches' films and game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl. Subscribe at DallasCowboys.com/Game Pass.
Final few minutes of Special Edition inside the Academy Sports and Outdoor Studios at the Star in Frisco. Bill Jones, Nate Newton, Rick Gosselin. Don't know if we've got time for a 4-minute offense here, but we do have time for 4 downs. And let's start with first down. Our first down question this week. Who needs to have a good showing against the Houston Texans, Nate Newton?
Connor Williams. I saw him this offseason. He put on about 20 pounds. I watched him in pass rush, and he was inconsistent. Right there, you see him doing a nice job against one of his teammates. But in the games, on the edges, he's looked a little weak. I need for Connor Williams to show up this week.
Rick Gosselin, who needs to have a good showing against the Texans?
Brett Maher. This is a 3-point lead. You need a kicker you can count on. If I were Brett, I wouldn't miss an extra point, a field goal, and I put all my kickoffs in the end zone because this coming cut is when all the backup kickers get kicked. If Maher struggles, there'll be 3 or 4 kickers in here.
And remember last year in Houston against the Texans, he kicked a 57-yarder, and he may need that again this week. All right. Second down, our second down question. Concern. Is there a concern that Byron Jones won't be ready for the Giants week 1, Nate?
Oh, I trust this medical staff. If they say he's ready, he will be ready.
Yeah, the Rams last year didn't play a single starter and ended up in the Super Bowl. So, no, you don't want Byron Jones to get hurt. This guy's a Pro Bowl player. I'd like to see him in games, but I'm with Nate.
And if he's not able to go, the secondary has been strong throughout the preseason. If there's one position where they've got enough depth probably in case Byron's not ready to start the season, they might be okay there. Third down question. Are you a fan of pass interference calls being challenged? We've seen them being challenged a lot so far the first couple of weeks of the preseason, Nate.
Don't just do it early in a game. Let the game kind of get on the line. Let it come down to the 2-minute mark, and that's when it'll show up big and help you. So, Coach, be patient with that call.
And understand, you can also call it for offensive pass interference. And I know one thing, Michael Irvin wouldn't want to hear that.
I know that's right. I know that's right.
And as Jason Garrett said, you know, there have been a little more, coaches are being more aggressive to see where that strike zone is on the pass interference challenge. Okay, fourth down question. How about the performance by number 44, Justin Phillips, the linebacker out of Oklahoma State last week? Fourth down question, will Justin Phillips make the team?
He can tackle. I know he can. He made some plays, but I think Goose has another thought on that.
Justin led the team in special teams tackles. Anybody who can tackle on kicks, I want on this roster.
Justin Phillips, you know, but you look at that linebacker position, and it's one of the strengths of this team, the starters and also the backups with Joe Thomas, Justin March Lillard, but there's room, especially because those linebackers play special teams.
Because this dude comes up big and he can hit, man. I watched him, and I know he's going to say it's just only his second preseason game, but he stuffed some runners, and he got range. So I would like to see what he can do in coverage, pass coverage, and that'll make a decision.
There are 5 guys ahead of him. I want a guy who can cover kicks.
But he's can force the issue.
But he's not going to spend a whole lot of time playing defense covering kicks.
Okay. You know, Goose, by the time we meet next week, we're going to be cut down to 53. What's going to be the key for those bubble guys to make a 53-man roster?
Am I redundant?
Boom!
Covering kicks.
Fifth down.
This is redundant. Covering kicks. You got to be able to. This team has to be better. You can't have great offense, great defense, and below-average special teams. If you have below-average special teams, your defense has to protect shorter fields.
All right, that does it for Special Edition for this week. Hey, I think next week we'll be wrapping up the preseason, and we'll be looking forward to the regular season here on Special Edition. For Goose and Nate, I'm Bill. We'll see you next week.